slide. That's it. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of No Title Needed, coming to you from the beautiful Feinstein's Cabaret at the Hotel Carmichael in Carmel, Indiana, USA. I am Cynthia Collins.
And I am Scott Osborne.
We are...
Your co-host.
Oh, my God. Da, 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 da. And today we have a very special guest. They're all special. But I really think this woman is super special. Dr. Anita Joshi. Dr. Joshi, you are awesome. Thank you for being here.
That's quite the introduction. Thank you. I like being awesome.
Yeah, you are. I think you are. And your specialty is pediatrics.
Pediatrics.
Yes. You are also, though, on the Carmel City Council.
I am.
Right. New. You just started that the last election.
24, yes.
Yes. Okay. So, brava.
Well, thank you.
So happy you're on there. I think it's a great city council. Really.
We have a good time.
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty swell on there.
Yeah.
But tell us, just let's go right into it, about your practice.
Sure.
How you got into that, into being, a doctor. Not easy.
Nope.
And highly respected doctor, and, your circle of mentors and people that you work with are highly respected in the field. And so... go.
Well, I was born and raised in New Jersey.
That's right.
At the time, yes, our connection to some Jersey roots.
Yeah.
But I think I'm kind of odd that way. I think I always knew I wanted to be a pediatrician, not a doctor. Which is interesting because most people go into the medical field and then sort of decide what they want to do. And I kind of wanted to be a pediatrician, so I had to be a doctor, right? And I think that came from my own relationship with my pediatrician when I was young. I was about 9 when I made this earth-shattering decision. And it was because I was in the exam room and he asked the question that I ask all my patients, which is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I looked around the room, and the only other woman standing in the room besides my mother was his wife, who happened to be the nurse. And I said, well, I want to be a nurse. And he looked at me very kindly and said, well, you could be a doctor, And I thought, well, that's an awesome idea. I'd love to do what you do. This is super fun. And I thought it was great because, he would take good care of you. You always felt really comfortable. Even if he had to give you a shot or do something, he was always just really kind. And then, you ended the day with a lollipop, which how could that be any better? So it was perfect, right? So I just had this idea. And I think I always liked, as I grew up, I realized I enjoy young people. I like children. I really work well with kids. And if I hadn't been a doctor, I probably would have been a kindergarten teacher because I think that would have been so fun too. So I have a great respect for teachers. I come from a long line of teachers. But so that's kind of how my desire to...
And it's hard, kids, because already doctors, they talk about doctors' bedside manners. And who has a good bedside manner, who doesn't. They try I think in school and training, teachers try to make that doctor have a good bedside manner. Yeah. With kids, talk about even more important. Like you said, your doctor made you feel so comfortable, right? Remember going to the doctor's as a kid? Mm-hmm. First thing, who, as an adult, you don't want to go.
No.
As a kid, you're terrified, So it's so important.
Yeah.
Do you think naturally you have that in you?
I just feel
that comfort where the kid feels comfortable.
Yeah. And I just feel like you treat people like people, right? Whether they're kids or adults. I think you look at human beings and you look at them in the eye and you say, you know what? This person is no different than me. Right. They're not better than me. They're not worse than me. They're just a human like I am. And so how do I find a way to connect with them? And I think that's just a natural part of kind of my faith and my upbringing and my parents and sort of all of that rolled into one, I guess.
So how did knowing that you wanted to be a pediatrician specifically help your education process?
Well, that's I think it focused me for sure. And I wasn't, I wasn't sure. I say I was sure, but then I think, as you grow up, people throw all kinds of things in front of you. My dad was more involved in finance, and so he thought I should do something in that field. And, my mom, like I said, came from a long line of teachers. So, of course, there was that, kind of, well, you like kids and maybe you could teach. And, so there wasn't this kind of push necessarily. But of course, my parents were immigrants, and to be a doctor was like a great thing. So they weren't going to dissuade me, and I made this grand announcement. But at the same time, I think they tried to like kind of make sure that that's really what I wanted to do, probably because it was hard. It was going to be a hard road. But yeah, I think it focused me. I had my moments of not being so focused and
Who doesn't, right?
not doing so well
Doesn't.
when I was a kid. I relied on those great teachers,
Yeah.
and I had great mentors. I was so lucky in my life to have great mentors, to have people who in college took me under their wing. When I came from a smaller town in New Jersey, went to a private college in Connecticut, and I don't think I was as prepared as I could have been for that experience. And I think having a great professor and a wonderful mentor who demanded excellence, but was really kind, was tremendously helpful for me. And I credit him. That's
It was
Dr. John Simmons. And he passed away, unfortunately, just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
We kept in touch. I actually went and saw him before he passed. And we had a wonderful memorial service for him, and it was amazing how many students from all the generations that he taught at Trinity College came to that service to see what an impact.
well, it speaks of his.
It speaks of his great legacy, and he just had this amazingly larger than life presence, but he expected excellence, and he pushed you really hard, lovingly, but pushed you really hard. And I think that always taught me that you have to strive for what you want, and I think that was a really.
So was Connecticut undergrad?
Yes.
And then where'd you
Yeah, and then I stayed in Connecticut, actually, and went to UConn med school. So, yes, yep. So I'm a Husky.
Yeah.
So UConn med school, and enjoyed that experience tremendously, and had some great mentors there as well. And then moved on and did my residency at Connecticut Children's Medical Center. So the Riley of Connecticut, if you will.
Yeah.
But I had an opportunity. So then, kind of flash forward, I guess, a little bit, I had the opportunity to sort of think about where, I'd gotten married in medical school, which was a whirlwind because, you're in medical school. And so that was a busy time of my life. But it was perfect. He was a fourth-year student. I was a first-year student when we met. And he was just starting about his residency, and I was in medical school still. And we had this idea that we wanted to do something a little bit different. We wanted to try something different before we just kind of like joined the rest of our compatriots and, added our name to the list on the board of the physicians that were practicing. We said, let's try something different. Let's go somewhere where there's a real need and a real, kind of maybe a lack of professionals in that area. And so we had an opportunity to come out to Crawfordsville,
Okay.
Indiana, which is still where I practice.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And we came out with the idea that we would be here for 3 years, and we had a great contract, and we would fulfill our contract, and we would go back home to our families who were both on the East Coast. And here we are 30 years later, happy as could be that we never went back home and loved it and just fell in love with Indiana. And so that's what happened.
Well, people
We're happy to have you.
right. People of Indiana and children of Indiana are very lucky to have you. We have to take a break. I know I hate to interrupt you, but we're going to take a quick little break for our sponsor, and we'll be back with Dr. Anita Joshi.
Hey everyone, we're lucky enough to have artist Randy Sorrell as our sponsor, and today he's going to show you a few of his beautiful pieces.
Check this out.
Say hello to Songbook Standards. This is an original acrylic, part of my music series that I completed in 2024, sort of celebrating jazz and blues and cool clubs all across the nation or the world. And if you dig music, man, you are going to love this one. Lavender Fields is part of my landscape series, and if you could see this in person, you would recognize how thick and juicy and packed full of color this painting is, and it really captures the lavender fields that you see in France and, sometimes here in Indiana. I think you're going to love this one.
Hey everyone, welcome back to No Title Needed with our guest, Dr. Anita Joshi, pediatrician, Carmel City Council. I want to talk about the Carmel City Council and how that came about, because you live in Carmel,
Yes.
but you practice in Crawfordsville.
Yes.
You and your husband came here from New Jersey, the great state of New Jersey. Thank you very much. I'm not biased, and loved it. Loved Indiana State here because you thought there was a need for more children's medicine out here. So when you were, and we were just like discussing this during the break about COVID, and I know we don't want to get too into like, oh, COVID hit, oh my God. However, you were talking about what you wear for the kids, and you're dressed professionally, but
Yeah, I think after COVID, we decided as a practice that we needed to have some joy and some fun in the office during that time when it was great uncertainty and we really didn't know what we were dealing with. We were trying to make kids and parents and everybody feel comfortable. So we got into wearing these fun T-shirts, like pediatric T-shirts. So the girls would buy them and we would all wear them together. And it kind of created this team kind of mentality too, this team operation. And also, I think just brought a little fun and a little joy to the kids.
Anything for smiles at that time.
That was it, right? And especially with kids, like it was so important. I think they enjoy it, and we never went back because it was actually so fun and so relaxing to wear the T-shirts that I didn't have to think about what I was going to wear every day.
Right.
Up to that.
Yeah.
well, because your sense of style is fantastic.
Oh,
I mean, you
you're
always
lovely.
look great,
No, they.
and we love your Coach bag. But so let's talk about the city council.
Yeah.
People just don't do that on a whim. I'm going to run for city council. So tell us that journey of how you wanted to get more involved with the city you live in.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think, I've always been an advocate. I think that's just naturally part of pediatric care, is that we advocate, right? Children don't have voices. We are their voices. So we have to advocate for them. So we do it all the time. And I think advocacy comes more naturally to those of us in that field. And so I worked on lots of issues with women and girls, with Women's Fund. I worked at, different not-for-profits, helped out, on the boards of both the Orchard School and Brebeuf, Jesuit. And
Kids went there.
yes, my kids went there, loved it, and had a great experience. And, got the chance to see, how important policy is and how important really kind of working on some of these issues at a different level. So ended up down, advocating for certain things at the State House and things like that. And people kept telling me, you have to run for something. You got to run for something. And I always said no. Because honestly, I think a lot of us feel like politics is, so fraught with difficulty. And I thought, well, I don't really want to do that. And I just want to keep advocating for people. And I got the opportunity, I had the seat opened up and I finally had a few friends who literally took me with my arm behind my back and said, listen, sister, you're either going to do this now or you're going to do this never. So this is your last opportunity. Nobody's asking you again. And then I thought, you know what? Maybe I can advocate at a different level. Maybe I can do this differently. Maybe I can really represent, because I care for people, right? The common thread for me my whole life has always been caring for others, right? That's what we do in medicine, care for each other. And then it extended to caring for, my, kids' friends at school and caring for them and, working COVID policy at Brebeuf during that time and making sure that we took care of these kiddos.
Yeah.
And so I think it just extended into caring for the community, the local community. And this has been so much fun. And honestly, I feel like people are people. They need care. We may not always agree on everything, but that's not the point. The point is to try to advocate for the best solution possible for the people you're representing. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
What district are you?
I'm the West District.
Okay. Are there? Yeah, that's right. Everybody has their district,
there's
of course.
6 districts.
Because when you vote, you can't vote for everyone. You can only vote for the person who is running for your district.
Yes.
I know.
Or the 3 at-large candidates.
And the at-large, which Jeff Worrell is one, and I can't remember, but
Jeff, Rich, and
oh right, Rich
Matt
Taylor.
Snyder.
To me, I'm a resident of Carmel. So are you
Yes.
now.
Yes.
To me, the city council seems to be in a good spot.
I would say so.
I have seen, obviously see council people come and go.
Sure.
But it seems like all of you are simpatico. Disagreeing, well, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Who doesn't, right? You have to disagree. You have to have your, different opinions and your different platforms and all that. But it kind of seems like you all kind of work that out.
I think we're trying to care for people. And I think if everyone actually genuinely brings that to the table, and if they can put the political advice that they get in their ear aside and actually just listen to what residents want, what constituents want, what people who live in Carmel care about, and represent what they really care about, and stop being drawn in by the outside noise. I think we do a better job when we do that.
Yeah.
And so, and there have been, I think, many times where we've been able to do that. I mean, it's not about being partisan. It's local politics. We shouldn't have to be partisan. And everybody knows, and no news, I am the only Democrat.
You are, yes.
But that doesn't mean that I can't work effectively with my Republican colleagues. This is not the way we should function. And unfortunately, national politics sometimes intrudes into local politics. And I think that prevents us from doing even better of a job.
Well, that's what Jeff says. Jeff Worrell obviously is a huge advocate of that. And he's been on that council for how many years, And who's the president? He's the president of the council?
No,
president.
Matt Snyder is currently president of council.
And,
yes.
and listen, I think, it just looked to me that everybody wants to figure out the problems together. Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like I really work well with Matt, with Jeff, with Shannon, with Ryan, with Tony, we all, I can name all of them, but the truth is we all work well together. I think we try.
I think so too.
So that's all we can do.
I think
the common goal outweighs.
Right?
Well, I approach it like that every day. I feel like, my colleagues try to do that. I certainly do. I certainly will never come with an attitude of, I need to be doing this for some other reason. The beauty of having a profession outside of politics is this is not my profession, which is exactly the way the founders intended it. Right. And so that means that I can do the job without having to worry about my political fortunes in the future. Yeah. Because that's not what I'm interested in. Genuinely.
Yeah. Real quick, because we're going to have to wrap it up here. But for a selfish reason of my own, I'm going to ask you about Dr. Joseph Fitzgerald.
Yes.
My father-in-law, a mentor of yours.
Definitely.
He just passed away in February. Huge. Riley Children's Hospital, a pioneer in
100%
GI pediatrics.
100%.
And you used to call him.
Yeah.
I remember he used to tell us.
Absolutely.
Call me and we'd talk about things, and she'd tell me what she was doing, and she was always, this is what he always said, she was always spot on. She never needed my advice.
Well, I don't know that that's true. I think Dr. Fitzgerald gave me a great deal of advice, and he was a tremendous, truly a giant in pediatric GI. And I am fortunate to have had so many great teachers. And again, this is why I value teachers so much in my life, because none of us gets where we are today without good teachers. And I'm choking up a little bit just because he's great. Yeah, he was just so great. Honestly, I got the chance to come out when we realized we were going to move to Indiana. I got the opportunity to come out and spend 3 months with Marty Kleinman, who was also a giant in pediatric ID at Riley Hospital, and spent 3 months on a rotation out at in pediatrics. That's where I met Dr. Fitzgerald. It's where I got a chance to meet all of my subspecialists. And when I first moved here, leaned heavily on their expertise and would call them. And it's kind of him to say that he felt like I always knew what I was doing. I think when you're first starting out in practice, no one feels that way. And if they do, you should run, because they shouldn't feel that way. It's important to learn, and it's important to grow. And he was a great teacher and mentor in that way.
Yeah, to many. Yeah. Okay, so before we are in a puddle here, thank you, Dr. Joshi. Anita Joshi, pediatric doctor and City of Carmel councilwoman. Thank you so much for serving, and thanks for helping children and being so great in the world of medicine. All right?
And in general, you seem pretty great.
Oh,
Hey,
thank you.
in general. Yes. And thank you for joining us for another episode of No Title Needed right here at Feinstein's Cabaret. Come on over. See a show. What else, Scott?
They got great mixologists.
Oh, you know they do. And you're going to have a great cocktail and some great food, and you're going to see some wonderful entertainment, a huge variety. It's a beautiful space. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Cynthia Collins.
And I am Scott Osborne.
And we'll see you next time.